There is no vaccine that we can actually get to vaccinate ourselves against the virus. But there are certain things that we know we can do to protect ourselves. One of them is what I'm wearing. So we are managing to reduce the spread. Because when people, all of us, when we see numbers of infections going up, we begin to get scared. So why would we want the numbers to continue to go up? We will have to find a way to ensure that the numbers don't go up, but they begin to come down and come down and come down. So if we are adhering strictly to the guidelines, the education, the type of things we are seeing here on the screen, strictly by them, we will not be seeing these hypes that is going on in some parts of the country. One, we have managed to establish that when we continue to do our things in groups, we increase positivity. Those in the factories, those in work camps, the mines, the railway workers at Eastern region. So what do? They are asking us to observe social distancing. Yet, we are not, some of us, behave as if we haven't heard what is going on. So we should begin to accept the fact that the disease will be here for a while, but we should try to reduce the rate at which we are spreading and getting infected. We started the fight very early, so this education has been going on and on and on and on and on. What next do? We cannot stop economic activity in our country, our social life, our children's education. So we need to do something that will enable us live our normal lives. For how long can we continue to be in a situation where schools have closed down? Our children who are going to write exams now do not know their fate, because what we are seeing, the spread, may not encourage the president to release restrictions. And I'm pleading that the type of education that we are getting should be taken into consideration and protect yourself and ourselves. Because if you get it, it is very likely that the next person close to you will have it. So let us wear the masks, let us wash hands, let us sanitize where necessary, let us keep away from each other, social distancing. And these are very critical things that will help us bring down the rate at which we are spreading the disease. In some of the regions, we haven't seen any. What is the magic? Some authorities in the regions and the districts are closing down overcrowded markets. And even in Accra, we've seen situations where some of the markets were closed down. They've redesignated some places that are larger, so that they can observe social distancing. That is a way of learning to live our normal lives to avoid the spread. So the key phrase now is that let us learn to live our normal lives, but ensure that we are reducing the spread. And what things shall we do? Even those of you in the media landscape, when you see a personality and you are interviewing, because you want stories, good ones, to go first, you forget about social distancing. And then you see on the cameras, everybody bringing their microphones. Is that the way we should go to live our normal lives? But now they are telling us that the cure is wear a mask, wash hands, distance social distancing, let us observe them. And I wonder how many of us ask another person who is not in a mask to put on the mask. We are meeting employers, and we'll finish guidelines by close of work today. The banks I know now are not allowing people without masks into the banking hall. And I told one bank manager yesterday that why don't you find somebody to come and stand there to sell masks so that somebody who doesn't have can easily get one to buy to access banking. The transport stations, the drivers are committing themselves, and the associations said that buses that will go on, if you don't wear a mask, you won't get a seat. You should wash hands before you even go on the bus. Gradually, these things are becoming part of our normal lives. And we should all accept to obey or adhere to these guidelines. They are not very comfortable anyway. But when you are not in normal times, you manage what is around you. And I think we should learn to do that. Factory places, where do they eat? We're now beginning to think and suspect that even in their canteens, they get closer to each other, they queue to take the food. When they are eating, they take off their masks. So it is likely that when one person gets it, another will also get it through that. Which door do they use to enter the canteen? So many of us are talking unnecessarily. And if you are infected, you open your mouth and the virus comes out. So again, if you don't need to talk, don't talk. Especially when you don't have the mask. They are telling us that we shouldn't even laugh, especially when you don't have the mask. We shouldn't even sing. You see where we are moving towards. If you don't observe these basic guidelines, the disease will continue to spread. Unfortunately for us, in one aspect, and I'll use the word reservedly, unfortunately, quite a large number don't show any symptoms of illness. The scientists use a word they call asymptomatic, meaning that you are positive, but you are not showing signs of illness. And contact of another person so that they are coming to try to test you. Nobody comes to you, and you are in the community, and therefore the relativity, and we can then protect ourselves and you yourself as well. So let us continue to observe these regulations. At the workplace, we shouldn't be so many of us. By tomorrow, we might have come out with guidelines to guide employers and employees so that workplace practices will begin to also help us cut the spread and bring the positivity down. If we're able to do that, we will have won the battle. We are not dying in droves. We are not getting too ill in droves. Our hospitals are now even vacant. Before coronavirus, we were talking about no bed syndrome. You remember? Now with corona, other countries have that problem. We have places in our hospitals, the beds that are empty. And that is a good indication. Our health system is not very strengthened. If we should begin to get ill, our hospitals will be full. And then we may move into situations where people are showing symptoms, they are dying, and wouldn't have places to take them. And that is not what any of us want. So if we don't, at this stage, find a way of cutting the spread, and we allow ourselves to be moving towards that era, it will be catastrophic. So all of us should become ambassadors to preach wherever we are that we should observe. They are not very difficult to do. So I don't understand why some of us will not do these things. And we have been thinking about what next do we do to enforce strict compliance with these basic guidelines. We are working on that, and let us adhere to the rules and guidelines, and let us work with the objective of trying to cut the spread chain.
The school is closed because of the river entered the school like that. So there's plenty of disaster there.
Community report in TV so yes see here for any more for to mon card yet mo anganya gometi e pepaye kan ye buawo ka awo lokun e
kwan de menua ye brepa sabe obi hu obekasa me ye bodanfo so me nye bodanfo
bidin de Abubakar Sapon na watwi bia ye gibre e de ko meamia bi na eye wo manyi entwa so
has commenced engagements with various stakeholders on safety measures that can allow an easing of the restrictions without compromising the health of the population. He has already engaged with the Association of Ghana Industries on potential measures for workplace safety. You heard the Honorable Minister speak to that. Industry has volunteered some measures which could be made mandatory in all workplaces, and these measures are currently under consideration. The President has also commenced engagements with the education community on potential post-restriction measures that will allow a reopening of schools while protecting students, faculty, and non-teaching staff. The President is very concerned about the status of the millions of Ghanaian children whose education is now challenged because of the restrictions, and is examining what it would take to ensure that learning and examination is not ultimately compromised. He's also been engaging with the transport sector on how to ensure more compliance and safety on public transport. There are also legal options that are now being considered to ensure stricter enforcement of personal preventive etiquette, including the wearing of masks, as the Minister has just alluded to. Hopefully, those legal options should be announced soon. The sports community, in particular football and golfing, have also submitted proposals on potential easing approaches which could still protect the population. Faith-based organizations have also submitted some proposals on how religious activities could be re-allowed while protecting the population. Now, I crave your indulgence to please pay particular attention to this part. The government is grateful to all these groups and the others who will be engaged in the coming days for their cooperation so far. But note that the fact that you are being engaged does not mean the proposals that have come from you have been accepted or that the restrictions have been amended or lifted currently. The restrictions remain in full force, and offenders will be arrested and prosecuted. The engagement is only for a post-restriction scenario and should be clearly understood as such. And just in connection with that, I want to invite the Honorable Minister for Tourism and Creative Arts to give us some further clarifications on the hospitality sector openings following yesterday's back and forth. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Information, Honorable Minister of Health, senior government officials, as well as the media. The Ministry would like to take this opportunity to clarify directives that were issued by the Ghana Tourism Authority pursuant to the President's address on Sunday. The Ghana Tourism Authority, per directives issued to the hospitality industry, inadvertently eased up the restrictions applicable to the industry by indicating that food chains and restaurants could operate sit-down services by observing social distancing protocols. It was also indicated that drinking bars could operate and also comply with social distancing protocols, but nightclubs would remain closed. However, we wish to clarify that further to the directive of His Excellency the President regarding the extension of the ban on public gatherings, the status quo remains the same. which means that bars, drinking bars and nightclubs remain closed. They cannot operate. Food chains and restaurants, including restaurants in hotels, can operate takeout and delivery services. This means that you can go to the food chain like Papaya or KFC, order your food and carry it away and have a meal in your home. Or you could go to a restaurant, order a meal and carry it away. On the other hand, you could also take advantage where they have delivery services to place a phone call, order your meal, and it will be delivered to you at home, and you can enjoy your meal. So this is a clarification that we want to bring to the public and to the industry, and we hope that they'll ensure compliance with these clarifications. We also recognize that this issue may have arisen because of an inadvertent indication of drinking bars being exempt in the drinking bars in Clause 4 under exemptions was inadvertent on the part of the draftsman, and therefore, right from the beginning of application of the ban on public gatherings, drinking bars as well as nightclubs were banned from operating. The status quo remains. Drinking bars, nightclubs are not open. Food chains, restaurants can operate per the guidelines that we have given in respect of takeout and delivery services. Hotels are exempt, but we also issued guidelines to the hotels in respect of taking care of their guests within their premises. We know that the way hotels are set up, guests have their rooms, they have their washrooms in there, and they can undertake all their activities within their rooms. The hotel restaurants cannot provide buffet dinner, buffet lunch, where we can go and congregate to have a meal. But they can take care of their guests whilst they are with them by providing them with food. And I think that when we comply with all these directives, we are protecting ourselves, we are protecting the general public by ensuring that we do not have community spread, and very soon we shall overcome this COVID-19 disease and return to normalcy where we can enjoy all our social activities. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Mr. Minister.
So, Honourable Minister, thank you for that clarification, which you provide. And again, we make that point to all other stakeholders and stakeholder groups. We are going through a process of engagement. The fact that you are being engaged does not mean that the suggestions have been accepted or that the rules have been amended. And we will comply with them so that we don't have to get law enforcement to come in. I want to invite Dr. Bedu Sarkodie, Head of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, to give us an update on numbers as at this morning before we proceed to do the Q&A session. Doc.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Your Honor, Minister of Health, Minister of Information, Tourism and Creative Art, Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I provide the updates on the COVID situation in Ghana as at close of yesterday. From the last briefing, the new cases confirmed that added to what we reported 122. With the distributions in Greater Accra, 57, Shanti Region, 62, Central Region, 2, and Western North, 1. 2 more new deaths were added up, bringing the death toll to 24, with 24 deaths among 5,530 cases. The death to positivity rate which we term as the case fatality rate, stands at 0.43% for the country. The total number of recoveries have increased, and indeed we have done quite a significant number of people having done the first test, which is negative, and you are waiting for the second test to declare them fully recovered. And the total number of recoveries as at now stands at 674. I'll just give a bit of details with regards to the new cases that we confirmed. In Greater Accra, 57 cases reported came from Taba Metro, 51, Ashama, 2, Koliklote, 1, and 1 each from Accra Metro, Ladadi Kotopon, and yes, I think these are the distribution from Accra. Central Region reported 2 new cases, 1 each from Ewutisenya, East Kaswa, and then Winneba, 1 each. Ashanti Region reported 62 new cases, 12 from Kumasi Metro, Obuase Municipality, 22, Askorimampon, 1, Afijasachre South, 2, Achuma Kwangoma, 19, Bekwai, 1, Tafo, 1, and then Salvation Army Hospital also reported 1. We had 1 new case from Bibiani, which is from Western North. This brings to the total new confirmed cases to 122. With regards to the regional distribution, Greater Accra has 4,204. Ashanti Region, 788. Eastern Region, 99. Central, 192. Western, 61. Western North, 57. Volta, 34. Oti Region, 24. Northern Region, 19. Northeast, 2. Upper East, 26. Upper West, 21. Bono East, 1. So out of the 16 regions, 13 of them have reported cases, and
etc. We had hoped that they could join us this morning by technology, but I'm informed that they are currently in transit, and that makes it difficult for them to join us. We will do well to get you an update from them by Tuesday when we re-engage on where we are. We're going to take questions and provide answers now. Before we do that, I understand that the Ministry of Information is receiving some 10,000 PPE kits so that we can also assist the media and other frontline groups some more. I'm informed that this donation is from FIO International. Do I have a rep from FIO International here? While we do that, may I ask that the microphone be set up so that we can take the questions, if we have any questions this morning. Yeah, can you please put, no sir, please wait for me. Can you please put the box down here? Honorable Minister for Tourism, would you do us the honors to receive it on our behalf? Though we can't shake hands symbolically, if you can receive this on our behalf. This is just one of the boxes, about 10,000 PPE kits to the Ministry of Information from FIO International, and we'll be making it available to add to what we are making available to journalists and to other frontline groups. The team is led by Mr. J. Bafo Aqua, Operations Director at FIO International. So thank you very much, FIO International, for supporting particularly our media colleagues through the Ministry of Information with your donation. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. FIO International. Thank you. Do we have any questions? So if we don't have any questions, we can call it a wrap this morning. So we'll take 2 at a go, and then we'll invite some more. Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Bill Bennett with Top FM. NTOP TV. Honorable Minister, I believe this question might be one that you might want to look at, and also to Dr. Abedi Sarkodie. We recorded 24 deaths as at today or this morning. I believe it's on the minds of many Ghanaians to find out whether out of these 24, we have some of them pertaining from the critically ill patients that we have, or these are just random new deaths or new cases that we are reporting. This is out of the 24. And out of the same 24 deaths that we have, do we have any from those that were quarantined after the deadline? Also, are the victims of these deaths being tested upon arrival at the health facilities after their diagnosis or prognosis? Do they show any critical symptoms that preempts the medical practitioners to want to test them for COVID?
And then the final one, quickly.
Yes, the final one. Are any of these facilities or these hospitals, are they conducting any random tests just to make sure that as part of the contact tracing, we are not missing any critically ill patients who have died out of COVID? Is something like that going on?
Are hospitals conducting random tests?
Yes, random tests.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Joseph Akabla. I work with Joy News. The first question, I want to find out from the Health Minister if he could throw some more light on the employment guidelines that he says they are putting together, specifically whether government has any intention that it will be issued maybe as an EI to ensure that it will be enforceable for those who may not abide by them. The other one has to do with the Obuasi situation. You had mentioned we'll be joining them. Since you're unable to join them, I just want to have a brief on what exactly the team is going to do there.
Okay.
And also for the tourism minister, if she could kindly explain how the communication, which has now been indicated, has not been accurate in the first place, because she made reference to the EI. Do I get to suggest that it was as a result of?
And then, Honorable Minister, the one on Ghana tourism. So let me take this last one and then we'll provide answers here.
My name is Kojadran from City News. The minister made mention that they are engaging industry to come up with guidelines at the various workplaces. In the light of that, let me ask a question regarding the Tema case where one person infected over 500 people. What has been the engagement with this company, and how was that determination made between what period did we found out that these people have been infected? And then my second questioning is, we're getting reports that staff of Noguchi who were involved in the testing of various samples have not been paid. What is the payment model there? And regarding the online education for various public schools, we know that most students at the public schools fall below the poverty line. They do not have access to internet and other gadgets to learn. How are they being taken care of in terms of reaching out to them so that they will also benefit from the online classes?
So let me take that one and then about one or two more, then I'll invite the other colleagues. So I think yesterday, for example, the President issued instructions on an assessment of how the online education is going, and whether there are some who are falling out of the cracks, or whether everybody is having an opportunity to be onboarded. It is as a result of the engagements that are ongoing to ensure that education and examination is not ultimately distorted. And so the President has instructed for an assessment of how the online education or the distance education using television and other means that have been rolled out by the Ministry of Education is faring so far, so that we can inform further decision-making on that front. Honorable Minister for Health, please take note of the Noguchi question. I just want to contextualize something, this backlog issue, Joseph. You will recall that right from the beginning, there are some procedures we have laid down on reporting and announcements. For example, we have said that we're not in the business of naming individuals. We've been under a lot of pressure to name people. And we've said that as a matter of policy, we're not in the business of doing that. We've also said that as a matter of policy, the persons who have tested positive have to be informed and potentially moved by the time the whole public is being informed. I'm sure you recall that, because we did not want to have some of those early incidents where somebody hears about his positivity on radio or from this podium. You recall that one. So there's a difference between clearing the backlog in the lab and finishing the process of engaging all of these people, moving them into isolation or treatment, so that, for example, when Dr. Abuaji is here, he can say 400 people have tested positive and they have been moved into isolation. That presupposes that between the time that sample was taken, they have done this engagement of informing either the clinician or the surveillance team that went to find the positivity, work towards moving that person, and then it is announced. So your question, I'm providing this information so that you can begin to contextualize your question even before, if my other colleagues would speak to it. Honorable Minister for Tourism, please join me. Yours is a single bullet, so take your bullet and then let's. So are you saying that it is the draft that led to the initial interpretation, please come this way, by the Ghana Tourism Authority, which interpretation you have now sought to correct? Or there's some other explanation?
Also to indicate that the Ghana Tourism Authority is the regulator for the hospitality industry, and therefore periodically they issue directives to the industry during this period, this pandemic period, as to how they could operate safely, pursuant to the decisions of government. But I think that the last directive introduced some easing of the restrictions, which were not in conformity with the President's directive that the ban had been extended to the end of the month. So that is the clarification that we sought to do. And I believe that if we all
for 1 week, so that they can create space for social distancing in the offices. Civil Service wrote a memo, and Public Services Commission, that within that place, our enclave, those who are not doing critical tasks should be allowed to stay home. So we sent all our interns, the National Service people and everybody, home. And then even directors in there, some of them who are not doing critical things were sent to them, and we're calling them when it was necessary, and some were working from home, such that we can create space for social distancing. This is why we are now engaging industry. We were thinking that they were practicing these things. Then if you are seeing positives all of a sudden, and the spreading, and large numbers, we are meeting with them to see what they have done so far, and what we want them to do. If after our engagement, they are bringing proposals this morning, we realize that there's a need for us to do an EI to support what it is, so that we can enforce it with a legal backing, then we will so do. That is all I can say about these guidelines for now.
Minister, thank you. I want to invite Dr. Bedu Sarkodie. Your 24 deaths, are they the critically ill persons, or this is some other category of persons? For example, your travelers who were mandatorily quarantined. There's also another question about whether hospitals are randomly testing. There's a request from Joseph, if we can provide some more information on what the team in Obuasi is heading out there to do beyond what we've told you already. Say again? Yes, and then there's a question about whether the 52 new cases from Tema are connected to the factory where the 500 was recorded. So, Doc, please join us.
Thank you very much once again.
Anganya gometi e pepaye kan ye buawo ka awo lokun
e kwani die menua ye brepa sebe obi hu ma ka se me ye bodamfo so me nye bodamfo
bidin di Abubakar Sapon na watwi bia ye gibre e de ko miamia bi na eye wo manyi entwia so ene ne ntwia so
nti se Abubakar ne timu amba ha me ye sa ne ma wi amayank nwa anka ye nim ne ekoso kra
e fiada wei ani fiada bia du ba ko apa ho sima aduasa Watinka TV. So at Tinka TV, your voice.
Ebusiafo apomuden dwumadi stronko a Atenka TV. Yawda energy fe biara no watch pepepe ye de bro no mekyerɛ the clinic dwumadi no April mekyerɛ oforisio bosome no ehya ase a memene da edikan no 4th April ye be hya ase ede the clinic dwumadi no abro. No anang pepepe na woni me.
Move on to death, and that is the situation.
Just a quick follow-up. So your 5 who are critically ill, are there any who are on ventilators?
For now, no.
None of them is on ventilators.
And then whether the hospitals are conducting random testing, this has not been the national guide. We have not given out a guide for hospitals to randomly test people that come or use their facilities. If anybody is doing that, we are not aware. But as much as possible, what we do at the facilities, those that are being observed, when you observe you for 14 days, on the 14th day, we take a second test, post-positive, and 2 tests in succession. On day 14, day 16, if the 2 serially, we get the random testing. With respect to we also infect appropriately and then do the respective and appropriate tracing as per our guideline for the country. So all these people that we are within the factory, to the home, place of other areas that they are them, if they are part of the factory employers or employees, and then how are they linked to the confirmed cases that we detected within the industry. I think that is what I will say for now. It's work in progress. We don't have much information now. It will be difficult for me to provide any information on that for now. Thank you very much.
That's why I'm trying not to touch the podium myself. So when you touch it, then you have to. Okay, so we have another set of, I think, 3 questions. You have a question? So after these 2, then you can come. Social distancing. Yes, madam.
Okay, so my name is Sarah Paku from Media General. All my questions actually goes to the Ministry of Health. And the first one had to do with, the minister said quite a number of the cases that test positive are without symptoms, which the scientists say asymptomatic. I want to find out the percentage of persons who are that, their age bracket, because we understand a 9-year-old child has recently died of the virus. I want to get that breakdown and how they are being treated, because
so what percentage of our cases are asymptomatic at the time we find them?
Exactly.
Okay, I think we can extrapolate that from the enhanced surveillance as a percentage of the total. Yeah.
Okay, and secondly, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association on their 60th anniversary revealed that quite a number of their healthcare workers have contracted the virus, while some are still in mandatory quarantine. I want to find out their insurance packages. Have these nurses accessed it? What is the process like? How soon will those who have already been infected access their insurance packages? And finally, the PPEs we are distributing to the healthcare facilities, I want to know the sustainability plan. Is there a plan that in the next 2 months or a month, we are estimating that it will get finished and then we'll supply them with more? Because we have some health facilities, as at yesterday, that they have to manage the way they wear their PPEs because they don't know when they would receive the next batch. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Richmond Hagan.
Your name is?
Richmond Hagan.
Hagan.
Yes,
Go
from
ahead,
the Event Vendors Association. Please,
From
I would
the
like
what?
to ask that...
From the what?
Event Vendors Association, part of the hospitality industry.
Okay.
Please, I would like to ask that a person who has been infected with the virus, if God willing, that person has been safe, is it advisable for that person to donate blood to the family member or relative in future? And
Okay.
there is one thing about going to the barbering shop and the salon. I would like to ask, it's advisable for us to wear the face masks and all those things, but when you go to the salon, there is a direct contact with the person. So is it advisable for you to wear it as you are being worked on, or remove it And how are we going to ensure this education at that place? Thank you.
Minister, so for the workplace guidelines, how are we dealing with salons and close contact workplaces? There was a third one. Yes? Abednego, come because we're going to wrap up after this batch of questions. Yes, sir.
Okay. I am Emmanuel Ansakuju from Metro TV. The Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations.
I can't hear you, sir.
The Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations raised concern that since their members are assisted by AIDS and others, how is the ministry considering
Ghana Federation of
Disability Organizations has raised concern that since their members are assisted by AIDS and others, how are they being catered for?
I'm sorry, I can hardly hear you. Since their members are affected by...
assisted by
assisted.
AIDS.
Yes, by AIDS, okay.
How are they being catered for? And is the ministry considering some guidelines for them? And on the issue of...
Is the ministry considering guidelines for disability AIDS?
Yes.
Is that a question?
No, for persons with disability. Consider the fact that if the person is in case a cripple or something being assisted by, how is the social distancing protocol being portrayed by them?
Okay. Right.
And on the issue...
We will note that question for the Minister for Social Protection when she joins us the next time.
Okay, and on the issue of e-learning, how are they also being catered for?
Sorry, I can't hear. The issue of what?
And the issue of e-learning, for the persons with disability, how are they also being catered for? Yes. Yes.
Distance learning for the disabled.
Okay.
Very well. Abednego, we'll give you the final question before we go to the press pool platform.
Good morning, Honorable. Honorable Bacha FM, Abednego, Asante Sidu, me Ajma Wadom FM. Honorable, me will question very clearly. Yedikano, and in your report say, Ashaman, police cells, some inmates be or her, taxi positive. Me first me who say, a car figures in a Dr. Demayan and I say, a separate case. And also, tema factory issue, no, Honorable Mukoye, no, now more practice, sir. Protocols in our government about social distance, and as Mufi said, then a Koba IT infected over 500 people over there. And then another question. Yenya Edruana, I mean, as the Madagascar, Yenya report and a place say, Omamoye helps, you know, Oma presented some report to the Honorable Health Minister. Honorable, are we getting some medicine able to meet the cure? Send Madagascar for Onyomudi. And also, Honorable, last question here. Nipa Bibu ha, person voluntary testing. Is there any plans in place? Obi person voluntary testing, Obeti Mako, because Obu ha, Wanyabi, but Ebia Onimus Wanyabi, no, they spread it. Is there any plans in place? Obi person voluntary testing, Obeti Mayabana.
That's it. Thank you. That's it. Mr. Obiaje, let's just wrap up with questions on the press pool platform.
There's a question that says that why should a government not consider punishing those who disregard the directives with community service instead of jail term, especially when the president granted amnesty to some prisoners during the COVID period? Now, there's also a question asking, will Obuasi be put under lockdown? The reason being that with 272 official cases now detected, the unofficial number is likely to be higher. These people who've been tested positive will travel to other towns and villages and will infect others. So wouldn't an early lockdown help to manage the situation? And the final one is a request to the Minister of Information. When are we getting representatives from the Security and Exchange Commission to come and give us updates on the fund managers? Thank you.
Okay, so we'll take the fund managers' request and advisement. Honorable Minister for Health will deal with the Obuasi lockdown. I will deal with the question on why not punish offenders with community service instead of custodial service. Well, that's how Parliament made the law. In the end, that's how Parliament made the law. But Cabinet is considering a community sentencing policy. Because, you know, in Ghana, we don't have a community sentencing policy properly so-called. So Cabinet is currently considering one, which, if successful, then when Parliament is making laws, all of these become options that can be embarked upon. I hope I've provided some clarity to your question. Obuasi, is there consideration of a lockdown in Obuasi? And then a few other questions. Honorable Minister.
Director General for Ghana Health Service should be in Obuasi with a group of epidemiologists and surveillance people now. Not until he comes back. This question will be difficult to answer. But generally, the lockdown is not something that we believe is going to work any longer. I have said that now we have realized the lockdown taught us a lot of things, and its impact is quite severe. So what we have to do now is to learn to live with the disease. So when they go and come back and we get their report, it will determine, it will drive us to make certain decisions, and not until they come back. We must be very careful as to whether we are talking about lockdown in Obuasi or not. The nurses insurance thing. We have done for 10,000 staff. There are three elements of it. If you fall ill, you'll be treated. But if you should get into a situation where you become temporarily disabled, then you will get 10,000 Ghana cedi. But if they treat you and you are well and you can go about your duties without disability, that doesn't qualify you to take that money. If one gets infected and one dies, we'll give 350,000 for life. If you get ill and we're treating you and the cost of treatment goes beyond certain margins, we'll pay 225,000 extra to take care of you. These are the three components. And if you get into a situation where you have been exposed and you want to apply for it, you should consider that these funds should be vetted before you qualify, become eligible even to take anything that is there. And I think we have said this to the nurses and the doctors and all the health workers, even those testing and everybody. So that is what is in the public domain now. The PPE sustainability plan. We did program for PPEs for a certain period. We have again program for PPEs for 6 weeks. But even into 2-3 weeks, almost all hospitals are sewing their own PPEs now. Corporates are sewing their own PPEs. Companies are providing PPEs for their people. So far as the disease continues to live with us, we'll make sure that our health workers are protected all the time. So there is a massive sustainability plan for PPEs to the hospitals. But let me say once again, whichever hospital, whichever health center, whichever maternity home, whatever it is like, that is still complaining about PPEs, please let us know. The other time we gave a number, 311, is that correct? And call us. We will find you where you are and address your complaint. Because we have now at least the minimal PPE, which is this one. We have them. We are sewing ourselves. Even the N95 that is used in the treatment centers, we have them. So whoever has problem in any place that we want PPEs, let us know. We'll investigate why you still don't have it very quickly and see how best we can place PPEs at your doorsteps. Guidelines for saloons and whatever it is to for this, and I think I'll leave the rest for Badu Sarkodie to do. The Adoman, Abednego. I've talked about the lockdown issue. Sarkodie, you do the voluntary testing and the Ashaman factory, whether they were practicing protocols or not. That is why we are meeting the factory people. We want to find out what they were doing. I've met them once. They're giving us, these things yet. But we encountered through contact tracing. That is what took us to the factory for us to see what was there. You know, so we are meeting them. When we finish the engagement with them, things will come out. I think that is about all. The Herbal Group. We have got a report from Plant Medicine. We already have the medicines list committee. They are meeting them tomorrow to look at what things we can do. Yesterday, I did some investigations. There seems to be a little bit of a gap, and we are pushing to see what it is that we can also do with some of these medications. Their reports are testing bacteria, whatever. Then they go to FDA to test other things. But as to whether we even have the capacity to test for efficacy, that is what I've called them to meet together and let us see how we can try to do that one. So by tomorrow, after their meeting, maybe we can come out with a better answer or report on this matter. We are forcing ourselves to also use some of these things. Thank you very much.
I will start with the guidelines for the various workplaces. Indeed, the general principles underlying the guidelines for the workplace to make sure that the employee work well-being will be ascertained. The various preventive measures that we have, how do we intend
Ebusiafo apomuden dwumadi stronko a Atenka TV yawda energy fa biara no wotwe pepepe ye de bro no mekire the clinic dwumadi no April mekire oforisio bosome no ehya a memene da edikan no eye 4th April ye be hya ede the clinic dwumadi no abro no nan pepepe na woni me ajua mrekua ampoma ehya ewo the clinic dwumadi so eye apomuden dwumadi a ya hyehye ne kama na abri biara ye de bro no ye pese wapomuden etumi ekoye na wunya na wohwe dwumadi ni bi eno nti ene ye de ababehye memene da no nan pepepe edi amawo no mo wapomuden enya wahia de senia wapomuden nso eye me ehia de nara eno nti no wone me ajua mrekua ampoma enhia ewo the clinic dwumadi so
yes sanso ade promobio make a take off now wait there at the
voluntary testing. Considering the pressure that we have on our laboratories for now, it will be good that if everybody should know his or her status. But then the first question, if you are going for voluntary testing, are you going to pay for it or the state is going to pay for it? I don't have any answer. Two, if we should permit this, most workers, employers will say that I want all my staff to be tested. How is the country, the laboratory resource going to cope with this? This will bring undue pressure on the lab, and the backlog that you have struggled to clear, very soon it will come back. So for now, let's use the guidelines out there. You are doing enhanced contact tracing. For any reason, if anybody is positive, all the contacts will be outlined there, listed, and then be tested. Should there be the reason for somebody to fit the case definition for suspected COVID-19, that is the routine surveillance, then you would test these people. And all these costs, the government of Ghana has taken care, is paying for this. So voluntary testing is not part of the protocol, and you cannot cope with it for now. If it becomes, as we are working, there are quite a number of things that have been put in place, including the rapid diagnostic test. If we have some of these rapid diagnostic tests evaluated with adequate sensitivity and specificity, then we would use this, and if people wish to know their status, either you are currently infected, to also help us to know whether your exposure was previous exposure, or the status that you have, whether you are having the infection previously exposed, or whatever the situation should be. Unless you brought all these things together as part of our testing capacity, it will be difficult to permit and make it as part of our policy with regards to voluntary testing. We don't encourage that for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Colleagues, we're going to wrap up shortly. May I just ask my colleagues to project the case count table as was projected, just to answer Sarah's question this morning. So just one final note to observe. Different countries are adopting almost very different strategies. And so sometimes even in comparing the numbers, you must be careful not to compare apples with oranges. For example, when you see some of the numbers coming from Europe and the Americas, etc., they are reporting general surveillance numbers, i.e. people who have fallen sick and have come to the hospitals, because they are not doing enhanced tracing and testing like we are doing. That is why, for example, if you take today's numbers, 5,530, if we were doing what everybody else was doing, we'll only be reporting 1,628, because that's the general surveillance number. That's those who literally have, contacted the system to be tested. We have about 3,787 people in enhanced contact tracing. Those are people who have been exposed to the virus, and we have gone to search for them. We are deliberately spiking our curve. It's a very different strategy, because we want to find it early and deal with it. In so doing, you would find that the majority of that 3,787, literally all of them from what they tell us, are not sick. They don't have symptoms, but they have been exposed to the virus. So if you are going to work a quick math out of that, 3,787 out of 5,530, back of the envelope, that's about 68%. So Ghana's number, 5,530, about 68% of them are people that we went out to search for in the enhanced contact tracing. It's a very different formula. If you didn't do that, they are not symptomatic. They will be in the community, they are fine, but they will also be spreading. So that by the time today you are reporting 1,628, which is what we would have been doing if we were doing general surveillance, you apparently have about 5,000 or an extra about 4,000 in the community that you don't know of, who are also spreading. By the time you find that 4,000, 16,000 are out there who are also spreading. That is the wisdom in Ghana's changing strategy, to go for the enhanced contact and tracing, that will go out early, find these persons, and give them the kind of support. So if you're looking at today's data set, that's about 68% of what we have who are from enhanced contact tracing. I do understand very quickly, though the general translation will come very quickly. Our colleagues from the Chi platforms want some information in Chi very quickly. And then, I buy the tabuna to Neoma Bibre so. Okwa yekono afanami and sabako, ye bode saya tutum, and Oman Penia Yamai. Ye tosumienu, tabno de Atuniama Bibre so suku, yenko, sorry, Masarachi, Shemua Cassia, ina yenko. And sana one casaso ball who by all and so used to sanitize and now share mask be. Yema yatiti and tem. Tabuna de Atuniama Bibre so, any ye bode scry atumuno. Yenim said the bibeba ye baby. Na yen twɛn masa da no mama ye mie ansa na ya dwen de bɛyɛ ho nti ɔmampani afiase sɛ yenya mie po no yemfiase nsi nkonwa ne yenwen sɛ ɛda pa ba ye bebia ɛdan ne ɛbɛyɛ abɔ ye ho ban na obi amfa bi ansan obi nti ɔne wɔnom a ɛhwɛ sukuu so afiase esi nkonwa kwan a ye betumi daakye bi abiebie schools wo abra teacher for ne nkwala enya yare ne bi Onoma eka eshen transport operators ono mashia senior minister for health kan no oni omo a ehwe enyuma hodo so employers so asia se den na abaye wo adwuma ma obi nkonko fa bi ba bi wo ho a initial report ni bi e ba no nipa ba ko onyae no ebi mususu se epon ba ko a omo nyina fa ho de wura ebi abaye factory ni mu no ho we do ordin sa fa ho we do ordin sa fa ho ebi susu se no na ebi akwakofa ba ti kwan be na ebe fa so ma wono ma ehwe nnwuma so etumi ede hyehyɛ aba ebe bo nipa ho ba nti saa nkonwa na omampani afi ase ni mpanifo si asɔre ni masrachifo de omo de aba agudiefo wono ma golf wono ma board de omo de aba ohwe ni nyina na mrepam no wa kyerɛ kwan a se da paba na ye bia ebetumi abɔ ye ho ban na obi so ankwa nkɔfa yare ni bi wa bra at the same time so ye bie na nipa so ho ahare no. Colleagues, we'll leave it here, and we want to thank you for your time this morning. Hopefully on Tuesday, we should have some good news to share with you when our team is back from Obuasi. Me pacho mate. Sa foi nyina ye no omusi nkonwa ye. Ye mpesa obefa
efiri wo meye tifi kopima toye anafo ene apuye ensem wo hyehyam potamu doso nanso ebra so se ebiebie so ema won a yedi tumi ahye won nsem no ehunu de wo se wo ye.
The school is of disaster there.
Ka kobom manipa wu ansa na yakota ade na frimfi. Adenti
community report watinka TV so yesi ehiafo ene mobrofo so monka de tete mo.
Anganye gometi e pepaye kanye ye buawo ka awo lokun
e kwani de menua ye brepa sebe obi hu obeka se me ye bodamfo so me nye bodamfo.
Bidin di Abubakar Sapon na watwi bia ye gibre e de ko miamia bi na eye wo manyi entwa so ene ne ntwa so.
Nti se Abubakar ni